All the noisy ducks first thing this morning. They're excited for their food and water. Hey guys. You know, I wanted to talk a little bit today about keeping it simple. Not really just in life, which, you know, it's great to keep it simple in your life, but also with homesteading. Hey, baby breasts. As you can see, the breasts are doing well. I did end up losing one of the little breast chicks. They actually like to get in these nest boxes at night instead of roosting. And one of them got squished in there. So we did have a loss. But other than that, they're doing really well. I'm about ready to get a pen and separate all of the roosters except two. I'll keep two of them, but the rest of them I'm going to go ahead and put on a high protein feed and grow out so that I have a couple of chickens in the freezer this year. So I will let you know how they turn out. These guys are every bit as crazy about their food as the Cornish cross. I think I'm going to have to put in a bigger feed pan for them today. It's starting to get a little crowded around the feeder, as you can see. Other than that, they're doing really well. I'm very happy with them so far. It's an absolutely beautiful day on the homestead today. Well, beautiful morning. Sun is out. It's probably about 65 degrees. Just amazing, amazing weather. And we've actually had really great weather for the past couple of days. We haven't had rain, which has been nice because we did get like 7 full days of rain about a week ago, and it was really hard to get anything done. This is a little area of the homestead that I'm trying to take back this year. There were some birch logs that are back here. At some point, somebody had a little cement pad here. I'm guessing it was probably a shed. So I'm going to try to get all of this area cleaned out, mow it down. It is somewhat of a wet area, but I'm thinking that it might dry up a little bit if I can get some of this stuff out of here. So we'll see how that goes. If I'm able to reclaim this, so to speak, then it might be a good area for our turkeys. Those will be coming on June 20th, so keep an eye out for that video. So it's been a little over 3 months now since Lou has been gone. For those of you that are new to the channel, my husband passed away in February. And I will say it's definitely been the most challenging thing that I've ever had to deal with. But one of the things that it has taught me is to keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate things and make your life too difficult. You never know. We're never promised anything. We don't know how many days we have left. It could be 1. It could be 1,000. We don't know. So I have really got to the point in my life where I just want to keep everything simple. Seems to me that homesteading has gotten complicated for a lot of people. Whether it be a fancy chicken system, some kind of a fancy compost system, just seems like everyone's making things too complicated, and not to mention too expensive. Some of these systems I've noticed can be very costly to set up, and it kind of seems like the more we try to complicate things and set up these extravagant systems, the further away we're getting from the reason we started homesteading to begin with. And I mean, hey, I get it. I'm definitely not against innovation. But when it comes to homesteading, some of the tried and true methods are still the best, at least in my opinion. Take these ducks, for example. Now, in order to raise them, yeah, I could put in a pond. I could do that, and then my ducks would have a pond to swim in. But you know what? This kiddie pool works just as well. They love it. They still have just as much fun in the water. And it costed me maybe $10. So that's what I use. That's what works for us, and it's what they like. If you already have a pond on your property, that's awesome. But I can't see spending thousands of dollars to put in a pond for my ducks when my whole goal when I started homesteading was to live a simpler life and try to save money. So pretty much no matter how many eggs my ducks lay, I'm probably not going to recoup the investment of a pond for them specifically. So I'm sticking with the kiddie pool. I really think the question that we need to revisit is, why did we start doing this in the first place? I started doing this many years ago when my kids were young because I wanted to be able to provide organic food for my kids and my family, and it was just too expensive. It was cheaper to do it myself. And I hear a lot of people these days say it's not cheaper to do it yourself, that it's cheaper to purchase it. And you know, some people have a point in saying that, especially with the way that most of us are doing things today. You know, we're just spending so much money to homestead that it can definitely be cheaper to just go to Walmart and buy yourself a dozen of eggs or a package of chicken. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can make homesteading simple again. We can start looking to the old ways of doing things. We can, there are so many things that we can do to save money on our homestead. You know, reusing the things that we have, fixing things when they break instead of purchasing new, avoiding fancy systems that are very costly to start up that we may never actually get a return on that investment because it costed so much to start it up. And you know, in this day and age, it's easy to always think that we need to have something new or we need to replace something. That may not actually really be the case. We may be able to make do with what we have. Take this laying coop, for example. One side is this ugly brown siding. The other side I started to paint red. I never got it finished because this siding was just so hard to paint. And you know, it's kind of an eyesore. I don't show it that often in my videos because it's kind of an eyesore. And would it be nice to have a new coop? Yeah, but do I need a new coop? No, this is a big chicken coop. It serves the purpose. And if I were to replace something this size, it would cost me thousands of dollars. So I make do with what I have. And don't get me wrong, I'm not coming down on anyone. I was the same way, you know, at one point. I wanted to have everything looking perfect on the homestead. I think that's the case for most people when you move to a new homestead. But I'm really trying to get in touch with the old ways and how our grandparents would have done it. Ways that we can homestead and actually save money doing it, not ways that, you know, we're actually spending more money to grow our own food. You may have noticed that there aren't any more roosters in here. That is by design. The roosters are now gone, and they were just getting super aggressive. I was getting attacked every single day. The poor hens were getting overmated, and it was just getting to the point where I could barely get food and water to the birds. So I had to say enough was enough on that. I'm gonna keep these Marans for now, these Marans ladies, and we'll see, but I think I'm going to switch up to some heritage barred rocks. So we'll see how that goes. I'm also going to start free ranging my hens very soon. First, I need to block off my back patio because they love to go up there and poop. So I don't feel like cleaning that up every day. So once I get that blocked in, then I'm gonna go ahead and start letting them free range. That's gonna save a ton of money right there in food. And I know that not everybody can free range their chickens, I get it. But you know, most people can go around in their yard and collect weeds and, you know, dandelion greens and things like that for their chickens. And that's also a great way to cut back on the feed bill. There is the garden out there. It doesn't really look like a garden right now. We haven't tilled it yet this year. Hopefully me and my son can figure out how to work the compact well enough to get the tiller attachment on there and get it tilled. But yeah, I mean, and I see so many people doing these expensive and I feel difficult to maintain composting systems. What I've been doing for the past 2 years, I will take the chicken clean out of the coop, and then in the fall, I put it into a pile over here. You can see kind of behind that tree. I'll put it into a pile while I'm using the garden, and then in the fall, I just dump it directly into the garden. And by spring of next year, till it in, and it's been working great, and I really don't have to do anything to manage that. And we grew some massive pumpkins and winter squash last year with that. It was amazing. Can you hear those birds? Sometimes it's nice to just stop and listen. But I feel like that's kind of the theme of this channel going forward. Now I get that sometimes you have to buy new things and you can't avoid that, and I have to buy new things myself, but I am going to start looking around for things that I can reuse, repurpose, ways that I can save money. Even in the garden, gardening can be so expensive these days, but there are so many ways you can actually save money in the garden. Starting to see some of my plants coming up here in the flower garden. That is a hardy geranium. That's a rose. That is a hydrangea. I think that little green thing right there, I think that's salvia. Catmint, I believe. You know, I cannot remember what that plant is over there. And then just a shrub from last year that I haven't got around to planting. I'm over here in the kitchen garden, and don't mind the weeds in here because I haven't gotten in here yet to take care of that this year. But as you can see, I have some wonderful garlic growing in this bed. And this is a raised bed I made last year, still holding up great. And all I used to make this was some leftover firewood chunks. Just made it into a kind of a rectangle shape. Put the soil and compost in, and it's been working great. So all I had to pay for was just a couple of bags of soil and a bag of compost for this. Easy, anybody can do this. You don't need building skills, and it was basically free. I did the same thing over here with my birch bed. We had to take down a couple of trees that were scraping on the roof and a couple other problem areas, and we made them into a 16-foot long raised bed. We made this last year. And as you can see, I've already got some things growing in here, some spinach, some radishes. You can kind of see a little baby radish right there. We've got some lettuce, more spinach, a bunch of onions. And I planted some more things in here last night, and I'm saving the very end of this bed. I'm going to plant to just cabbage, I believe. And this raised bed from just some materials we had laying around the property. They were here when we got here, so they were free to us. And it made a great raised bed. This one's actually taller. I'd say it's probably a good 1.5 foot anyway. And I put herbs on this end, and this end will be perfect for parsnips and carrots. Last year I did carrots in here and they did fantastic. So I'm hoping this year to add parsnips to that. But again, just ways that you can save money by using what you can find laying around your homestead. Here I've got some horseradish coming up from what we planted last year. And even these garden pots are great to plant in. And I got a couple of these last year at yard sales for like $1. And they're big pots. So I mean, yard sales are a great place to check for homesteading and gardening supplies. I have got pots, I've got books on homesteading, I've got canning jars, so many things from garage sales. So don't be afraid to check that out. I have some wonderful little wild strawberry plants growing over here on the side of the garden. So I guess my whole point here is don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that expensive. Let's try going back to the old ways, keeping it simple, keeping it cheap. I have a very angry, broody hen. She's not too happy. And an egg eater. That's not good. Well, thanks so much for stopping by the homestead today. I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have a great day.